One thing also to mention about McCaffrey, he has now scored a touchdown in 12 consecutive games, and that includes regular season and playoffs. That matches JR, the great Jerry Rice, in 1987 for the longest such streak in 49er history. In fact, the record for most consecutive games with a touchdown is set by Emmitt Smith with the Cowboys. 14 straight games, Emmett hit pay dirt. Arian Foster, second on that list with 13, and third on the list is CMC. So that's pretty good category. I know people don't remember Arian Foster, but there was a period there where he was absolutely on top of the NFL world, and Emmett is one of the all-time greats.
Arian Foster, along with a Priest Holmes season many years ago, brought me to the top of a fantasy football league. So yes. I remember that Arian, that year that he had. But look, this is I say without reservation, Larry, the 49ers won the Christian McCaffrey trade. Oh my God. He is I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that he is the best skill position player the 49ers have had, maybe since Jerry Rice. I don't think it's an exaggeration. I mean, he's done something that only Jerry Rice has ever done. So that kind of puts him in that conversation. When I think of essential guys, like this offense does not run without player X. Who fits the X well? When are you ever going to say, like, some Alex Smith teams would not have functioned without Vernon Davis? Okay, I'll give you that. Vernon Davis was maybe the most important offensive weapon for a while for the 49ers. Michael Crabtree was supposed to be that, never really became that. J.J. Stokes maybe didn't. Frank Gore, obviously a great player, but he never had the week in, week out, holy shit level of games that Christian McCaffrey is having.
Anquan Bolden was a nice Niner, but yeah, no, I mean, how about this? In games McCaffrey has started since last season, the 49ers are 15-1. 15-1.
Is that good?
That's decent. I mean, and credit John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. I mean, they passed on McCaffrey in 2017. They took Solomon Thomas. And all the people that were saying, oh, they should have taken Mahomes. Okay, that's 2020 hindsight. I think really what bothered Lynch was that they didn't take McCaffrey because McCaffrey went 8th in that draft, and they had the 3rd pick overall. They probably, if they didn't want to take a quarterback, they probably should have taken CMC. Instead, they took Solly, and Solly's a good player. He's a hardworking player for the Jets. He's still in the league. It's not like Solly Thomas is washed out. He's decent. He's got a high motor. He can do some things, but he ain't Christian. And Christian is, it's funny, Todd Husak, the old Stanford quarterback, and I used to debate this. I thought Christian McCaffrey was going to be kind of more of a part-time player because of, and I stated it to Todd. I said, I think he's not going to show enough durability. I think he runs upright. He's going to take hits. He's not going to be durable. And it's funny, he busted onto the scene. He was awesome. Todd was like, hey, Krug, told you. Then he had a couple years there where he was hurt, and Krug went back to Husak and said, hey, Todd, told you. And now Todd's having the last laugh because Christian is been very healthy with the 49ers, and he leads the NFL in rushing by a wide margin. And not just because the Niners played on Thursday night and everybody else plays this weekend. Coming into last night's game, Christian McCaffrey had 268 rushing yards, second in the league, Bijan Robinson at 180, third in the league, the Eagles' DeAndre Swift at 178. So CMC has been, first of all, he's a perfect fit for this offense, perfect fit for how Shanahan wants to utilize him. But he's also been healthy with the 49ers, and with all these weapons, I mean, what an addition. Yeah, I mean, phenomenal trade. Absolutely phenomenal.
He's a finally realized idea for Kyle Shanahan. He finally has the queen on his chessboard. To the very beginning of the Kyle Shanahan era, he took a shot at finding a queen on the chessboard. His name was Jerick McKinnon. But unfortunately, He went down, he got hurt, and so he didn't have what he hoped to be an equivalent of Christian McCaffrey. And then in the following running backs that he picked, Carlos Hyde wasn't that breed of player. Other running backs that have come
Jeff
through.
Wilson, Raheem Mostert, they've been good.
Good, not exactly. Very good, but not quite the McCaffrey level of versatile. This guy, how about this, Larry? If he never, ever took another snap at running back and spent the rest of his career at slot receiver, you'd have a hell of an NFL player. I mean, that's who he is.
I can remember the day before the Niners traded for him, I did an interview with a Niner beat writer, and I'm not going to name him just because I'm not trying to embarrass anybody, and I'm not trying to. It was nothing against him, but in the interview I said, because there were a lot of rumors, are the Niners going to trade for Christian McCaffrey? And I asked this guy, I said, hey, you think the 49ers are going to trade for Christian McCaffrey? And he said, nah. And I said, why? He seems like a perfect fit. And he's like, because they don't need him. They have Jeff Wilson. They have Elijah Mitchell. And it was all true. Jeff Wilson was really, really solid, and he was a team leader. And Elijah Mitchell was damn good. 6th-round pick, kind of a find. But they're not Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? And I loved what I saw last night out of Elijah Mitchell. He had a nice, beautiful 18-yard run, and I want to see more of Elijah Mitchell. In some ways, I think he's the perfect complement to McCaffrey. Why? Because McCaffrey can catch the ball. McCaffrey's dynamic. And what is Mitchell? Mitchell is a small back, but he's got great vision and instincts and pick and slide. He never fumbles. He always falls forward. And he's the perfect guy he avoids negative runs. You're not going to have, -8 and all these crazy runs. I mean, you may catch a pass behind the line of scrimmage and get tackled, but if you hand him the ball and it's blocked for 2, he's getting 2, 3, or 4. If it's supposed to be 5, he's going to get 5, maybe 6. Now, he always falls forward. So I really love the combination of the way Kyle used the backs last year, and I think when we get down to the nitty-gritty, he's going to use them that way again. McCaffrey, a ton in the first half, build that lead, and then in the second half, when you're just trying to, put the game away, you hand the ball to either Elijah Mitchell or J.P. Mason and let them do their work. Why? Mason's, I like Mitchell because he's only fumbled. I think he fumbled once in college. I think he's fumbled once in the NFL. So he's very dependable. And he took some big hits. And he took a couple hits last night that he wasn't even anticipating, where he took hits from behind with guys that he didn't even see coming. And still the ball doesn't pop out. So it's a great sign, and to me, last night wouldn't have been fully complete as a good game plan if they hadn't worked in those other 2 backs, and they did. Let's fire away these last couple supers.
One more note. What I thought was very much in evidence again after thinking about it. Last night's game was sort of an explanation of running back value in this league, as this league is sort of, stumbling and bubbling around what a running back's value should be. It was the number one topic of the NFL offseason, not paying running backs, not drafting, using high picks on running backs. Well, you know what? The Falcons did that with Bijan. They're very happy. When you got a player that you think can be an impact, you shouldn't hesitate to draft them anywhere if you think they're going to help your team. And then what do you do when it comes to paying a running back? Well, McCaffrey's the highest paid running back in the NFL, and he showed you why he's worth that last night. Now, the New York Giants, they tiptoed around an extension for Saquon Barkley. An injury pulls him off the field. Well, what do you got without him, New York? You want to talk about the value of a running back? I don't know what you didn't want to pay Saquon Barkley, but without him, here's what you're going to do. You're not going to win a single game probably until he comes back. The Giants are probably looking at a 1-4, 1-5 start to this year if Barkley's not back. They were held to 150 yards last night because Barkley is 45-50% of their offense. And when that is who your running back is, and then what? Like an arbitration, you're trying to make an argument that he's not worth the money? Like, look around, look at who you are, look at the team, how you're constructed and what you are without the guy. So I thought that last night was a little bit of a run it in real time experiment of running back value in this league. Look at what the highest paid guys does for the 49ers. He's now scoring touchdowns like Jerry Rice and producing points that not even Hall of Fame quarterbacks produced on a weekly basis. And over here, the team that tiptoed around its running back has lost him now due to injury and it's basically taken their entire offense and thrown it in the dumpster. So a lot of running back value on full display. It's amazing what actual football games do to define what football value really is. Like, you can have your front office, your plan, your cap, you can plan it all very, very well, but then a football game happens, and that's where the truth lies. And the truth has always been really good running backs are important for really good football teams. And how the NFL convinced itself otherwise, because they're just so afraid to put so much of a ratio of a cap into an off injured position. Like, I get it, but if you're in the business of football, you're in the business of running back risk. It's just, they're tied together. It happens.
Larry, they do. I mean, it's a totally separate conversation, and I don't want to take us down this rabbit hole, but after watching Nick Chubb, we saw that injury. That's why running backs want to get paid, and that's why teams don't want to pay them.
Yes,
all in one. And the NFL needs to address this, because these guys are valuable. You cannot have a conversation about, we need to win on Sunday, we need to win on Monday, we need to win on Thursday, we need to win a Super Bowl. Nobody can even have any conversation about this. It always starts with, well, we got to establish the run. Or on defense, hey, man, we got to take away the run. We got to take away the run. So something has to be done outside of the current CBA to just, recognize that these guys face an unbelievable amount of punishment, and they have to have their own category, their own pay structure. It needs to make sense. There's a lot of smart people that run these leagues. They need to create a mechanism on the new CBA where it protects the running backs from all the abuse that they take, while at the same time protecting the team from the vulnerability of losing such player. But I mean, it's just right now it's not, the running backs are being devalued, and yet they're very much needed. So that's kind of a contradiction. It's like, well, are they important? Well, I don't know. They aren't on draft day, but they sure are on game day. Jonathan Taylor is going to be traded here in a few weeks, and there's going to be all kinds of teams that are going to line up and say, we want him, we want him, we want him. But then I'm reading that now the Colts aren't even going to get a first-round pick for him, that they're probably going to have to take a second or a third for him. So it's like, what is it? Is it these guys incredibly valuable and you got to have them? Or are they not valuable and they're not worth paying for in the draft or in contract or in trade? So, I mean, right now we're in this kind of murky period, and I think that the running backs almost need to have an emergency meeting and band together and figure out a way to create a mechanism within the CBA, which doesn't come up for several years, but they need to make an amendment here to the CBA and make sure that both sides are covered, that the backs are covered. Maybe there's some guarantees for injuries. Maybe those guarantees don't go against the cap, so the teams are somehow covered. There needs to be something that recognizes that this is an important position and a brutally violent position, and one that's not a long-term deal. So, and by the way, on CMC, his longest run last night went for just 12 yards. But he was very consistent. He averaged nearly 5 yards per carry, despite not having that big, 40-yard run, like we saw in the first couple weeks. 12-yard run was his longest run, but he still went for almost five a pop. That's impressive.
Let me welcome everyone to our second hour here. It's 49ers Wake Up. Damon Bruce, Larry Krueger, simulcasting on both of our YouTube channels. It's wonderful to have you here. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify. Don't miss anything Larry and I are doing all season long, the day after the 49ers play. It's 49ers Wake Up starting at 8 a.m.